The Orlando Urban Film Festival presents the Actors Talk with me, your host and actress, Gabby Kennedy. And today I am joined by Miss Denise Pendleton. Denise, thank you so much for being here with me.
Thank you. My blessing.
Yes, yes. Today, like I told you before, I'm here to highlight all things great about you. And you have created you have directed and produced a very wonderful documentary, What's Black About It? And today we're gonna talk all about it. My first question is to you, Denise. What's black about it?
Pride. Look at us. Everything.
Ooh.
I see too many pictures, especially in this industry, of all the staff, and either there's none, or when I was working with MTV, there was one. So my thing is, look at it, see your culture, see yourself, and ask yourself, what's black about it?
Ooh.
And I think that just conjures up thought. I need to be represented. I need to be at the table. What is black about it? Whatever's going on. If it's not black enough, if there's no black, what is black about it? How do we see ourselves? Where are we in the game?
That's so good. Oh, and I know if I connected with that, I know the viewers connected with what you just said.
Always.
Denise, congratulations on being nominated in the Orlando Urban Film Festival as the best documentarian. There's a difference. Short film, best documentary. You have been nominated best documentarian. So congratulations on that. I take joy in being able to sit with you in this moment.
Thank you.
Denise, can you tell me where you at today? Where you calling in from?
I'm calling in from Los Angeles, California, although I'm in a suburban area known as the Valley. I'm in Van Nuys. So I'm in the Valley area of Los Angeles, my home.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Denise, if you're having a birthday party, right, and you got all your family, your friends, the people who support you and love you the most, and you get to choose one performer to sing, dance, play music all night, who you got, Denise?
Bruno Mars.
Ooh, nice.
He brought dance music back. He brought it back. You know, I'm a big James Brown dancer. I knew every dance every record James Brown put out had a dance attached. I knew them all. And I missed that. You know, the 90s was great when they were doing samples of the 70s music, but Bruno Mars, he just like evoked a thing in me. And then Burrell. But Bruno, I have to say, if I want to have a party, I got, oh my God, did I turn my phone?
Absolutely. Okay.
I thought I turned my phone off. I did turn it off. All right, I'm going to turn it off for real. I thought that was enough. I guess it's not.
Okay.
Put the silencer on. It's not working.
You busy. You have a life.
I'm taking care of my mom in the hospital. I mean, she's in the nursing home. So they give me a report on certain things. So that's right. This is Thursday. So Jessica will be giving me a report. So I just decided, come on, turn off.
Yes. Tell me about your mom. Tell me a little bit about your mom. Something good.
Here's something so interesting. My mom was a part of a very popular social club group in Chicago, a women's group. And that was like the thing in the 60s. I think they stopped like mid to early 70s. But my mom, they would put on these fine clothes, hair tricked, hats. I have some great pictures. And even though I spent more time with my grandmother, when I was around, my mom was like, what is all of this fuss about her? One day the kids teased me. I saw your mom in the Pavilion parade. It was, so it was just kind of like, I never really asked. I just watched, her in action and watched the group. And it was like these Cadillacs would line up on our street. Yeah. And they would all meet at my mom's house and they would all sort of parade out to the cars and the men are sitting there. The Foxy Five was a very hot, popular group. So I always thought in my mind, I want to tell this story because I work with the Links and, Jack and Jill. I work with different organizations doing fundraisers, charity. So this is different. This is, these are grounded women. These are working class groups. They're not, upper class and, the color thing that was going on back then. These were just grassroots women that like to have fun, get together, raise some money, and, give money to kids for Christmas or whatever it is. So anyway, I don't want to rattle too long. So in 1998, I was home and I said, I think I better interview, because my mom just started like not wanting to remember. She just always had a bad memory. So I asked my aunts, because they used to like travel behind her. They're younger. And I did like a 4-hour interview with them. It was just fascinating listening to them tell me things, the backstory of things I saw. My dad, who was divorced from my mom at the time, did not like the idea because she wasn't trying to be at home per se. Anyway, after COVID, when COVID hit, I had to bring my mom here because her husband had died of a heart attack. So I brought her here, and we gave her a big 90th birthday party, huge, last year.
Nice.
She came back from Chicago. I took her to Chicago. She came back and she had this horrible stroke. So I said, I got to start writing this story. It just kind of said, okay, you're working on Burrell, but you need to work on this other thing, because it is about women empowerment, and how local groups and local social women's groups, because women's social groups go back to Ida B. Wells, Black women groups for all kinds of things. And that's when I said, this is a bigger picture. I knew it was, but I just had to get my research ready. I said, this is a bigger picture. And I heard Ava DuVernay say one day about her mom and her club. And I said, okay, I'm on the right track. She just mentioned it in an interview. And I said,
confirmation.
Yeah. So I knew I was going to someday soon finish pitching Burrell as a series, and I want to have a backup. So I'm like between these two projects, one male oriented, one female oriented, and and it's about the 60s and the 70s. That's where my life's. I want to start telling my story. I'll tell more of my stories when I go to the 80s and 90s and 2000s, but right now, I just think it was a great time. As bad as things was around the world, I enjoyed it. I didn't have a lot of problems that some people may have had, but I think it was a good time for Black people.
Yeah.
If there were police killings, you rarely saw them. It wasn't a big headline like it is now. It wasn't as bad.
Yeah.
So anyway, I'm going to do that. And, she can't speak or anything, but she knows when I'm there. She loves when I rub her head. And I tell her stories, And since she's been in this place, she's lost 2 sisters, my God, like 3 months apart and just this year. So it's, I tell her, and I can tell because sometimes she weeps. She doesn't make the noise. Sometimes she'll make a noise, but, I know she knows. So, that's part of, I don't know how long she'll be on this earth. She made 91, July. Yeah.
Yeah.
91. So she may get up to be 101. So as long as she's there, she's my girl, my road dog. When I brought her here, I took her everywhere with me. Yeah. She loved to go. I grew up, but my mom loved to go meet people, have a good time, and she's always nice and do everything for everybody. She'll do the kids in the neighborhood hair and stuff. If she saw some kid didn't have something, come in here,
Yes.
She's that kind of girl.
Yes. Those are the type of stories that are worth telling. So thank you for taking your time to say that. You know what I'm saying? A beautiful woman like your mother. I'm sure. I hope you get that documentary out because
I plan to.
And you deserve for somebody to come behind you and make that documentary about you and your life. So
people keep telling me, and that's like, oh, okay. People like, you should write a book. Now, my niece is a book publisher. She helps people publish books. But I decided that because I love television and film, more TV.
Yes.
I said, I think I need to tell, because a lot of things I just can't tell in the way if I had to write a book. In my scripts, I can go all over the place because I've worked with so many artists. I've had so many experiences.
Yes.
I said, this is the best way for me to sort of route my life. And that'll tell my story. You know, I'm in the 60s and I'm in the 70s. Yes. And so I started Motown in the 80s, 79.
Yes. Oh, I can't wait for that story. Okay, Denise. Will you please tell me a little bit about Tom Burrell and what inspired you and what inspired him to no, let me rephrase that. Tell me a little bit about Tom Burrell and what inspired you to tell his story.
Wow. Tom Burrell, I worked with some powerful Black men. I had to really step back. I said, Berry Gordy, Butch Lewis, Tom Burrell. I did some work with Mr. Johnson Products.
Yes.
And he is amazing. Tom broke the color line in Chicago. He was the first Negro to work at a white agency. So that was to me, part one of his historic move. So Tom, as a Black man, was very attuned to his people, and what was going on. Mm-hmm. So he then, saw where there was the Black consumers weren't being served. Not only being served, they weren't even being looked at. Mm-hmm. The most you see about Black people's lives and how our culture would be negative, riots and, just all this negativity about who we are as a people. And it would never show the positive. Tom calls it positive realism. So he then decided, hey, I want to do this, because, Black Power had come in, dashiki, afros, and all this stuff was happening. And he made a decision consciously to do it. And when he did, he had already had 11 years experience working with top white agencies. That's something no one had. Mm-hmm. No one. Now, there was a gentleman, Vince Cullors, who was the first Black person to start an agency, but he didn't excel. Tom excelled because what he did and what he was fortunate to get was television. That was a place that we really weren't seeing. And you may see some local stuff, maybe a little regional, but Tom's second most important thing that happened to history, he was the first to put Black people on national advertising on television.
Okay.
So that was like, whoa.
Yeah.
I mean, Coca-Cola and the McDonald's, which were the two major clients that he had that really start turning that wheel. Yeah. So I just remember seeing, I think I was in high school. I hadn't met him yet. I was in a unique high school, which was like what they call the first alternative school to come to the U.S. And it was called Metro, the school without walls. We didn't have a traditional classroom. We didn't have a traditional anything. It was only 15 kids per classroom. My graduating class was like 92.
Okay.
We did most unique, if you traveled throughout the city, I would go to Shedd Aquarium for science, go to the, First National Bank for math, and we could take college classes. So I was in this unique school where you can get out. I met a girl at how I knew about the school. She said she got in a year. I said, what kind of high school can you get out in 1 year? Yeah. You have to take the proficiency test and all that, but it's accelerated. So I literally got out in 2 years. Okay. My high school counselor was a model, and her best friend was a model. And I was very close to them. I think at that point, I was dancing. I had already started dancing on Soul Train. I was just dancing, after school. It was cool.
So we're going to talk about Soul Train.
Yeah. So she would allow me to, she started I saw a commercial with these girls with double dutching. And I flipped out. I was like, oh my God, that's what we do. That's me. It's that visceral feeling you get when you see yourself represented. And you see oh, now they understand, who I am and what I do. So I had a strong emotion of pride. And I just had to like find out how to, who are these people?
Yeah.
So I always say God puts you in places you never would have imagined. So she would like take me down on the sets sometime, and I would watch, and I did a little backdoor internship with Burrell because I said, oh, I want to do this.
Yeah.
This is cool. Meanwhile, I get a job working as Soul Train. I think you had to be 15. I was 14, but I don't.
Whoa, you had to be 15.
It was like, the internship at Soul Train.
Okay, yes.
The internship at Soul Train. So, I got the job. Because, my mom, like I said, was in Soul. Tyrone Davis, the famous R&B singer, was her second cousin. So all of that entertainment, rah, 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 I grew up in, literally. So I get in there, and I'm assistant to Don Cornelius and his co-host Clinton Gent, and I was doing talent booking too. So I'm like, oh, you should have these people on. Well, find a number, get them on here. So it was that kind of thing. I was like, oh, okay. And I met. We had a famous radio station, WBON, which Don actually was a disc jockey on that station before Soul Train. So you make enough calls and you sound intelligent, they'll help you out, Yes. Anyway, so I started booking talent. And as Burrell came, I was still like sneaking around and, what they're doing now. And I think I saw the James Brown commercial they did, different little things. So by 79, I'm out of there. I just decided, I can't take the Chicago snow. I cannot take that weather.
Yeah.
This is crazy. I don't get to see my car. I had just got a new car and it was buried under snow for months.
Yeah.
So I, got out, and I remember I found a note. I don't know, some class I had, I was 16, and they said, write down what you want to do, where you want to go. And I did. I said, I want to go to Motown and work with this lady, Suzanne DePass. All I knew was she was doing, putting together the Jackson 5's outfits and stuff. And I thought she was doing the choreography, but I really learned she don't know how to dance. And I'm like, oh, and sisters, I was like, oh, I gotta look into that. Now, meanwhile, I had become very close friends with Natalie Cole, who I miss so dearly. And Natalie said, well, would you come work with me, in her fan club thing. And I was like, oh, okay, So, when it's time, I'll let you know. But Motown just grabbed me. I actually saw things at Burrell that sort of like, I watched them sort of freak out. This whole, coming up with commercials and this, concept is not as simple as people think. Especially Tom. Tom didn't want slang. He wanted you to make fathers positive. You're talking about a group of kids, and I call them kids. They were kids that had no idea. Most of them don't even know how to define advertising. So he had to sort of teach them what advertising is, what it isn't. Now you're talking about how to talk positive to your people. And that was another thing, you know slang, know this. My favorite story was one girl said, she presented Tom with this idea of shower and, and this whole thing. Now, this is the early 70s. And, a lady taking a shower. So Tom said, well, wait a minute. He said, how many people have showers? And so she just kind of, I don't know. He said, do you have showers? She said, no. Tom said, Black people take baths. We back, you're talking about early 70s, pipe for that. Said Black people takes baths. So it was that kind of thing. And there was another one, a guy wanted to do a whole big thing with skiers. And Tom said, how many skiers do you know? He said, well, 2 of my friends. He said, when you find 1 million skiers, bring it back. So he had to keep them relevant as to what was going on culturally and how to communicate with your people, like my trailer says, how to talk to your people.
Yeah.
And like I said, it wasn't like, oh, let's go, here's a great idea, let's do this. It was a lot of thought and a lot of research that went into those commercials. And they were personal stories. Every commercial they ever produced basically came out of someone's personal adventure, some personal situation, first glasses and speaking at, having the father come speak at the parent meeting, all those things. And, Joey about, child care. they all came from personal experiences, which, I loved. So like I said, so now I'm at Motown, and I kept my relationship with them. And the Barge, I think we were hot then, but there was so much other things going on because I had friends that worked in different record labels, MCA, CBS, RCA. So I remember, telling Tom, I was like, hey, you gotta check out some of these, you need to put some music acts and,
Yes.
rev it up, because they were doing a lot of radio jingles and stuff, but they were basically radio and some Coke. But Coke just said, hey, go for it. So I said, hey, this group is hot. Info. And, this one is hot. So I started basically telling them. So they made me a consultant.
Yes.
I could like give them the real deal. Yeah, that group is hot on this chart and this, but here's what's really going on. Because I'm working in music, television, and film.
Yes.
So no charts say one thing and they say another thing, and on and on. But so I started consulting with them. And I was really moonlighting. I was working at Motown, and I was moonlighting with Burrell. Paid me a whole lot more money, and it was fascinating. I told someone, I said, I think my grandmother was dying every weekend. God rest her soul.
Because you say that.
Yeah, I'm like, my grandmother's,
Oh.
Yeah, you could go, oh, my grandmother's sick. My grandmother's on it.
Yes.
Oh my God, I feel so bad about that. But so that went on for years, up until, oh my God, years and years, the In Vogues, MC Hammers, Cameo, New Edition. I did a double duty on New Edition because I helped them with the wardrobe at that time, because it was 5 of them. It was a little more than the one stylist could handle. And then I decided, oh, hey, why don't you let me do a live event based on this concept you have,
Come on, Denise.
Yeah, we had who was it? KRS-One and MC Shan, the Sprite commercial, and I said, let me do this. I had an idea because I was doing special events, so we took it to the Vibe Music Conference and put it in the Apollo Theater with the big boxing ring, and I had thousands of them wanted to be in it, but we had to, bring it down to a few, and I think Curtis Blow and a couple of rappers, that really sort of picked the finalists. And it was just serious, it's the 90s.
Yes.
A girl won, which really blew my mind.
Okay.
This little girl from New Jersey, she killed him. And so that was like one of the highlights of things. And I worked on the Quaker Oats gospel concerts they would have. And, we're doing film in Motown. I got the Barge. I got to get ready and go out. I went on a couple of days. We had the Luther Vandross, the Barge big tour. And, television, Soul Train, Dick Clark, the whole thing. So I loved it. I didn't know what was going to happen from one day to the next for my life, okay, what are we doing today?
Yeah.
I have to admit, Suzanne gave me a lot of leeway. She told me one day, she said, Denise, you can think for yourself. She was saying, this one's not like you, because as they say, when she's thinking about it, I'm making it happen. It's that projection. That's what I want kids to learn. You have to think ahead. They're looking for people to tell them if they're going left or right or straight. They're not looking for you to ask them, well, which way you want to go.
Yeah.
You have to find that space. And I found that relationship with Suzanne where I would sometimes eavesdrop on a phone call, because she would wait till the last minute to tell me something. I'm like, that's how I saved the Michael Jackson big moment at Motown 25. That to me, I think was probably one of my proudest moments. Thinking ahead, not following directions, but saying, you guys think this works? I don't think it works.
Yeah.
So I brought that tape, it was because they couldn't get him to do the show. They kept asking him and asking. Mike was like, So we had this tape, and so the whole idea was, let's corner him and have this VHS, and we're going to show it to him. Well, what if we're in a place we don't have? So they always had this. We'll have him come down to the Motown studio. We'll put it on the monitor, all of this stuff. So they would make me leave the tape at the office, and we'd be over there. We were doing a Lionel Richie something. It's like, okay, Denise, they didn't ask what it, oh, so I did it like twice. I went back and got it. Michael didn't show up. I put it back in the vault. Then I went back and got it. Michael didn't show up. So this time I just said, I'm not putting this damn, it was crazy because I'm nervous and I'm driving sporadic.
Yes.
I put it in the trunk of my car. This is the day they really thought Michael wasn't going to show up. Michael's one of those people, he likes to surprise you. So he sort of called and put his, it's like, okay, I'm going to go. I'll be there in an hour. So now we're in the studio doing something with Lionel in there looking like, he shows up. That's why he shows up. And then they said, Denise, we got to have the tape. So I did the Chicago cool on him. I just kind of said, oh. I really did because I wanted to sort of teach him a lesson. I wasn't trying to be a hero. It was just kind of like, and Michael walks in the room and they're freaking out. Oh, and it's like, yeah, you think I'm be able to drive all the way over there and come back before? Because he will leave on you.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, oh, okay, let me go to my car. Maybe I can make it over there. So I go to the trunk of my car. And I bring out this video. It's the famous one where he's doing the James Brown in the studio with his brothers, when he was little. Because that was their Motown audition. He had never seen it. Oh, my God. He wigged. They wigged. They're like, oh, my God, Denise, you saved the day. And
yes.
I said, okay, thanks. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
And I knew, okay, you got to use some of your own intelligence.
Yes.
Foresight. And just kind of like, don't do anything illegal or anything too hard. But I just kind of felt, it'll be okay in my car. Because when I took my car home, I would take the tape upstairs to my house because I had a convertible at the time. So, it all worked out. But that was my big to do.
Yeah.
So I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah. No, Denise, all of the things that you're telling me, it's really helping me to understand where you are because you are a woman, a Black woman who created, seemed like every opportunity, all of these milestones in your career, you created it for thinking for yourself and putting yourself out there, putting your expertise to work, doing things that you learned along the way and just applying them and making things great. If you weren't authentic in that moment to say, you know what, I'm just going to put this in my car. And if you'd have done what the company was telling you to do, then you would not have had that moment, which probably led you to another moment. So my goodness, that is so admirable. That is phenomenal, Denise. I'm feeling you. I'm connecting. I'm picking up what you're putting down. Really.
That's my Michael Jackson moment. I'll never forget that. I had a few other things like that, but that was just thinking, I look at some of my nieces and nephews and their friends and they're just like dizzy. They think that, and it's kind of like, because I was, I had got hit by a car when I was 9 and I was in this school for disabled people called Jesse Spalding because the insurance with this public schools, even private schools, they didn't want to take on the responsibility of somebody with a cast and a bunch of crutches. So when I went to this school, that's when I really yearned to I can't wait to get out of here. I got something I want to do. But it led to another surgery and it sort of dragged out. But I eventually got out and, I danced on the Soul Train, did my thing and danced professionally. We opened up a lot of shows for the Ohio Players, Teddy Pendergrass.
Yes.
Shy Lights, a lot of the 70s groups would open shows for them. I sort of put this group together, I we need to make some money. How do I figure out how we can make some money?
Yes.
So dance troupe together. And, Jesse Jackson and one of the radio guys, they always made sure we got paid. And, my thing was, we're high school kids doing positive stuff. We're doing stuff that we love. We're not in trouble. We're cool. Yeah. We're all right. And, it even led us to have dinner with Diana Ross one night. It was some weird stuff that happened. But, we had a great time.
Wow. Yeah. And all of that has led you to, now being nominated a documentarian, best documentarian, you can see why now your life is so rich with all of these stories and all of these moves literally that have led you to being able to tell these great stories. Let me move to my next question. Will you, Denise, will you tell me a little bit about the team of people who made What's Black About It happen?
Oh yeah, that was like I said, God put you in places you just like go, oh, okay. Because it's like, things come in my head and it's like, where the hell I get that from? And it's like, no, you just go with it. But I ended up getting a grant, but I had to also put some money on it. Someone said, "Oh, we know these people who have this. They want to get this grant, and they're gonna, you have to put, on this, all of these stipulations." And I was like, "This is kind of crazy." So I couldn't get anybody in California to go for it. And then I started thinking, I said, what do I? I was gonna do. There was a famous guy, this jingle producer. His name was Butch Stewart. And I initially was going to do it on him. He had died of cancer, but he made a lot of those commercials you hear now. He was the one who produced a lot of them. And then I don't know. I forgot how it didn't work out with his family. His family said we want to do our own thing. That was fine. So then I said, oh, okay. I said, why don't I do Tom? I used to tell Tom, I don't think people in Hollywood really know about you or appreciate how you have. Mm-hmm. You opened the game for television. I met Norman Lear one day at a party, and I told him, he said, I told him how I thought Tom Burrell really helped him get good times on TV. He said, you're right. He said, because it's all about data and research, the numbers. Black folks eat a lot of cereal. They drink a lot of pop. They buy a lot of stuff. We always were high index when it comes to buying.
Yeah.
But nobody had that information. Tom had it, because he was doing things, and he had hired best. He had a couple that was a research. So the numbers don't lie, and that's what opened the door for Tom to do all these extraordinary things. And so I said, we need to honor you. He said, what do you want to do? I said, I don't know. I said, I'm working on all of these things. We're honoring this guy, this guy, this guy, this guy. And I said, maybe we put together dinner to honor you. That was prior to the documentary. So then I went back and I thought someone would have done his story before me. Mm-hmm. That was always my thinking. Here I am, I'm a struggling artist, struggling producer, I don't have the money and the resources. And so I just thought somebody with money would get his story and do something before me. And I was really surprised.
Yeah.
And he was always one that sort of liked to stay out of the limelight.
Yeah.
That's one of the reasons why I was so compelled. I said, this is good.
Yeah.
I'm going to tell them about somebody they really don't know. And then every time people see the film, they go like, oh my God, I didn't know, and that just makes me feel so good, because my instincts, everybody's grabbing stuff out of the news, and they're grabbing the headlines and all these things about us as people, most of them negative, but they're in the light and they're teaching us some things. But I said, I'm going to go a different route. And so my thing was, you need to understand, how you see yourselves, television, film, and all the stuff today. It started with advertising. Tom is the architect of what we call niche marketing. We all just use it now, but Tom started that. There was no such thing as niche marketing. Tom created that. It wasn't his term. It's a grammatical term, but he was the one that made this thing happen. Nobody was.
Yeah.
Black people, white people, Mexicans, all of that stuff. That wasn't, they weren't actually focusing on us, in the general market. So Tom was like, we can do this. Our people can do it, and let us do it. And that's basically what happened, His company blew up.
Yeah. Denise, how important is it for you to tell Black stories?
Oh, it's everything.
Yes.
Being even at Motown Productions, when I got there, they had done Lady Sings the Blues, I think Bingo Long, and all these great stories. So it was just, here's the thing. We as just Black people our lives have been about learning how they, white people, how they do what they do. We've had to learn about them. We've had to follow them. We've had to do it their way. It was always this thing where we are always sort of, you know, learning about them all the time.
Yeah.
And so I've always felt, especially when I started working with Burrell and even Motown, you know, it's like they need to learn about us. You know, they don't get it, you know, and you can tell because I've been in some meetings with some people who say some of the craziest stuff. And then rather than getting angry, I had to understand they don't know.
Yeah.
They don't know. So what do we do to make sure they know?
Educate.
You know, it's like, you know, back in the 50s, people were telling me, you know, people were hiding Motown records and jazz records in their closets. You know, when the white groups would come on, they may put on some jazz, but they were hiding all the, you know, the hip cultural things. So it was very important to tell these stories. There's so many stories people don't know.
Yeah.
And it teaches the, you know, the younger generation, the older, whatever. It validates a pride within yourself to know, yeah, we did that. Yeah, we struggled and we made that happen, you know, and that's what you have to have every day. That's why I love, you know, the whole Kamala Harris campaign and the pride and the joy. You know, you can't know where you're going unless you know where you're from. And you have to decide what you want to say about that. You know, what is it you don't know? Because, you know, I've basically been around white people. You know, I've always been the one, except for Motown and Burrell.
Yeah.
When I started MTV, working on billboards, working on the Grammys, working on all these shows, you know, this white people, I was always a novelty. Oh, yeah. Let's get her. She's good. You know, she's, you know, they didn't understand rap. So I had to explain to them who Will Smith was and why they need to have him on the show, which got him his first national TV show on ABC. But, you know, and rather than, you know, like I said, you have to like, oh, okay, you got to teach them, you know. I won't be around you all the time. I hope the little lessons that I left and some of the history that I gave you continue. But meanwhile, I get it. You know, you can know what you don't want to know.
Yeah.
Your thing is to keep this idea of who we are and what we're about in your head. So when you deal with us, you still come with that stuff.
Yes.
You know, that, oh, okay. You know, Shaquita, you know, all these little things, you know, these bondage, all this stuff they, you know, stuck on us that we've turned around and made it work. But the point is, you know, they have this, a lot of them have this, I wouldn't say, it's not so much as negative as ignorance.
Yeah.
You know, and they don't understand that it's negative. You know, we understand it's just, you know, when they say you don't know, you don't have a clue. Yeah, they were clueless. A lot of white people in the 70s and 80s were clueless about Black culture, and they were catching up.
Yeah. Some of the commercials that I seen in your trailer, I can remember experiencing some of those commercials as a little girl. That McDonald's one with the two kids, that hit right there because I was like, man, I remember that, you know, like those movements, they're movements, exactly what they were meant to be, movements, and it echoes and it still lives, and it laid the foundation for so many great things to follow in advertising and TV and radio, everything. And
but the interesting thing about that commercial, there's a guy who you probably saw in the film. His name is Jolly. His real name, we call him Jolly. He was already in the underground rap world. I mean, he was like talking about rap when nobody was talking about rap. Now, mind you, I'm going back and forth to Chicago, and I go back to Burrell and spend time. So he was the one who started the whole rap thing, you know, like convincing Tom to let him go to Sprite and convincing Sprite to come on board. He wanted to go to rap, and Sprite was afraid. They said, oh, let's just go with this crisscross kids. But the point is, right after he's doing all of this with Common and Fat Joe and all this rap, the head of creative tells him, I need you to work on this McDonald's commercial. He's like, what? You know, it's like, I'm here. And she's like, no, I think you can do this. He's the one that came up with the new mat with that commercial you like with the kid, the little boy and the little girl. That was his thing. So, you know, Jolly is an amazing young man. I've known him because his mother was in my mother's social group. So I've known him for many years, but just when people can flip, and I love that, it's like that came out of you and you do this, or it's that surprise element I like when people sort of underestimate you, maybe.
Yeah. And I'm sure that for you, I mean, you just named, you went from Soul Train to Motown. I don't want to skip a whole section there, but now you're directing, and you're this everything that you've done, all of this work that you've done is your inheritance because of, the seeds that your mother planted in you, and it just goes back so far. So it's a surprise element every time you do something new, every time you keep going and showing that you're resilient. It's like, look at Denise, on to the next thing. Like, I'm sure that has to be how your peers and people in the industry look at you, because you've been trailblazing this whole time. You have not.
I didn't think of it like that. I mean, I understand what you're saying, because there's a friend of mine came up with this sort of corny, I don't know. She said, Denise, you're in everything but a casket.
That's not funny.
See what I'm saying? It's kind of like, that ain't really funny. But I understand what she means. Because if I saw it and I said, oh, I want to go, I want to go do this. Like, I want to experience some of everything. And I don't know if that's just a bad habit or whatever you want to call it.
No, you can't.
I thought I could get to the right person or talk to the right people, or just I used to, go to these, work on these charities. That's what I tell people. The important people in Hollywood, they are mostly benefactors, donors to big charities. You go to those big charity functions, you might bump into a couple of them. Okay, and that's what someone said to me, and I was like, I mean, that was the first one I went to. I think I met Barbara. I think I was a volunteer. I was working with Barbara Streisand because Stevie Wonder was on the show. So suffice to say, I said, oh, okay, now, all right. And when they see you do a good job and, they're going to have another event, they'll call you. It's like, hey, Denise, you think you want to work on this? So, it was a financial sacrifice, but I never missed a bill. I never was evicted. My car wasn't,
Yes.
So I just knew, I was like, I'm okay. And I got sick. But that's just another story. But, I was like, I'm okay. I complain. I tell people, keep your overhead down. These kids come and tell me they got a car and they got this apartment and all this stuff. And I said, well, do you have a job yet?
Yeah.
How are you going to pay for it? I mean, I had 2 friends come out and go right back to Chicago.
A solid job.
A solid. Yeah. I mean, you pick them up and say, get an older car.
Yes.
And do the things, stop trying to be so flashy so quick, and you don't even have a job that you don't even know you'll be there a year.
Yeah.
Now the industry is just laying off, and it's just really crazy right now.
Yeah. Absolutely. You're not lying. You're not lying.
It's great.
Denise, can you tell me what type of things that you do fun, or the fun type of things that you do within your community?
Within my community, I go to it's a thing called the First Friday. It's a club where African Americans get together and go for the first Friday. We haven't had any movies out a lot, we haven't had a lot of movies out, but we go to make sure the numbers are up. Fun to me, is going to the movies. I love going to the movies and concerts until, mess with AEG just killed the concert business for me, because I don't like those 30,000 seat arenas. But yeah, I like to go out to movies and concerts. That's
intimate concerts.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to be more than 10,000, and 5,000 to me is a good one.
Yeah.
I went once to see Beyonce, and I stood up and I said, I will never, even standing up, I could not see.
Yeah.
I would not sit down. And I learned, don't go for the floor seats, go on the side. But I was spoiled. We limoed in the back doors and all this stuff. We always had seats waiting for us. Motown spoiled the hell out of me. I didn't know how to go through the front of the forum. I went there and I was like, I said, I don't know. I'm only going through the back area. I don't know anything about the front of the forum. I wasn't arrogant, just kind of like, wow, you really, I was spoiled, I got
That's
it.
good. So
One thing,
that.
20-year-old people were like, this one girl told Denise, I thought you were rich. Because I had a mink coat. Now, the mink coat I had put in the layaway forever and a day. Finally got it out. She said, I saw you and Skip, this guy I work with, walking down, and she just thought, I said, girl, shit, I work hard.
Okay.
We're not treated, we work hard. We
Yeah.
just work differently from what you do. She worked in promotions. No, she worked in sales in the record department. But they always thought, the people upstairs in the film and TV business, we all rich and, getting around. But, yeah, that's my two things. I used to be into sports and stuff till I hurt my back, so I kind of got out of that. But yeah, movies and concerts. That's
how about dancing? You still dancing?
Oh, look, what was the last thing? Oh, I know. My friend and I, who actually just moved here, which is great because when I get some friends that just moved here, I can go back and revisit things or visit things I never had time. But we went to the county fair and they had the Ohio Players, the Whispers, and they had these groups, that you don't get to see here. We just danced our tails off. We just stood up and just danced in our seats, and it was just good.
Yeah.
We don't have places to dance anymore. My nephew's a DJ. He's very popular in Chicago. You've heard of house music, right?
Yes.
Well, my nephew is the junior house group. In other words, he's their little mascot person. He's the youngest one, so he's out there. And it's just, I told him, I said, where's the damn beat? Find the beat. It's like, and it's kind of like, no breaks, no this. So as a dancer, you looking for that, thing. Bruno.
Yeah.
Or they're doing some acrobatic, or they're doing a lot of African stuff, which is cool. But it's still I'm looking for that 4-4-8-8. I'm looking for that beat and that break. And they just don't do it. It's just kind of like you sit there and just kind of like.
It's only so much of that you can do.
Yes, that's what I tell people. I said, did you have something else? So I just, gosh, somebody would bring back, somebody tried to bring back like a 90s dance thing. But it was in New York and never made its way here. But yeah, I miss being able to go and just dance. I really do. That was always my mental and physical outlet. I love to dance.
Yeah.
It was my way of expressing myself.
Yeah.
My mother thought I was going to be a psychologist. I was like, where did you get that from?
Well, now just make sure that you keep dancing at home then.
Oh.
And Denise, I want to ask you what's next for What's Black About It, and also for you as a director and a producer.
Well, I've written I want to develop What's Black at Burrell story into a series, which we have done what they call the Bible. Yes. So a friend of mine, Reggie, came in because he's more seasoned writer than me. I just really started getting into this whole writing thing maybe 2 years ago, or no less, about a year and a half, that I realized in order for me to control my story and keep my hands in it, I need to write my story. And the studios are gonna hand it off to one of their top guys. Let them do that, but they got to follow my blueprint. Yeah. They don't know the 60s Chicago. They don't know the West Side Chicago. They don't know the 70s. I know this, so I want to make sure that the things that I thought was important to come in the story happens. So I wrote that. After this whole, I think Orlando, maybe I got one more. Hopefully I'll get picked to do the Urban Black Film Festival in New York. After this thing is over in December, January, I might start pitching before, but I'm working with a coach who's looking over my stuff to make sure my pitch is tight. So that's the thing with Burrell. I'm looking at a 1 to 4 part series. And the Foxy 5 is going to be a film. I'm going to put it in film, but you write a film now, they all say, oh, let's take it and break it up into 16 more parts. Let them decide. I'm just going to go ahead and put in 3-part film, 3-part style. And, you guys decide what you want to do. But I want to produce. I was good at directing and I like directing, but my head sees so much more. So I need you to stick, make sure, you got this. because I always walk into something, I see the bigger picture. I see what's missing. I see what they could do different. I see what they could do better. So that's just my producing head. I can't
Yeah.
turn it off, to kind of stick with that thing. I'm worried to make sure the clothes are right, that this is right, the music's right, that this is right. So that's sort of who I am and what I do. But those are the two things that I'm putting my time and energy on right now, to continue the Burrell legacy. Because I think it's a fabulous story that everybody can relate to.
Yeah, it's a good story. And just like you said, why has nobody told this? But it was meant for you. It was for you. It was your moment to tell. And I don't think that somebody else might have not been able to tell this story the way that you are, like literally woven into the fabric of this industry. Like that's just so dope to me, Denise.
Because I always thought music people should have another life.
Yes.
Because I knew that other life, and I was saying to myself, well, when when the hit record's not hitting, you're not charting.
Yes.
What do you do?
Mm-hmm.
So, and that was part of the management thing in my head. Remember now, we had co-managed with Lionel Richie, we had Jennifer Holliday, this guy called Finance Innocent, and we had DeBarge. So it was like just getting them through the music part of it and the touring. What's the next life? And that's when I started saying, they should be in commercials. It was that kind of thing, and I think every artist should have that. I mean, look at Megan Thee Stallion. Who would have thunk she would be doing Amazon? It's a very general market thing, because the general market is different from black markets. Now, Burrell, because of diversity and all these things, and the Hispanic population being greater than black population, these McDonald's and all of them have decided, well, we don't want to just keep giving you and taking care. We want to try, trying to spend less and get more.
Yeah.
So, it's that burst. But, I want to remind people, I don't see enough I saw one black commercial that it affected me on television. And I'm always looking at commercials. I don't know why. I've always been that kind of person. What's the thing that they're what's the story? What are they trying to sell? What are they saying? And I told them, I just want to see more black families. I don't see black families. I see these mixed families and these, all these, they kind of, checking off the box, they're just checking the box with these people. And it's like, come on, you can't show me a black dad, a mom, and a child, and a this, whatever. And, so they're just kind of getting away from, they need to explore our culture a little more. And, because, we got kids that just don't even have a clue.
Yeah.
All they know is this whole diverse thing. They don't know about, a black family, a nucleus of a black family, and they do exist. They exist less, probably. But the point is, I just think it's important that, these black kids see themselves with a father and a mother. And it's, that's just my thing.
Yeah, that's good. You're right. And you are a part of telling that story, and telling stories like Tom Burrell is going to help you to create the change that you want to see. And just like you said, you're talking about having more black representation in black families. You're absolutely right. And while you're showing the mother and the father, throw in the dog too. Yeah. I mean, you know what I'm saying? Like, that's really what we're working with.
Yeah, show the big picture.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. Denise, it has been an honor to sit with you and talk with you about what's Black about it and the work that you're done, the amazing creative visionary that you are. You absolutely deserve to be nominated as the best documentarian. And I know that you have so many more stories to tell. And when you start casting your projects, call me to be one of those Foxy Five.
Oh, okay. So you're an actress too. Okay.
Yes, I am. That's so dope to me.
I met a mentee. She was working in a clothing store. I just want to say this right quick. And she saw me talking to Michael Jackson's choreographer at the time. And she was like walking around. I could tell she was following me. So I finally said, I'm not famous, She said, oh, well, yes, okay. So she was so sweet, and she's from North Carolina, and she was calling me ma'am. And I thought that was endearing. So I said, well, what do you do? She says, well, she says, I have a master's degree in costuming, and I do makeup. You have a master's degree in costuming in my head, and she's running around here doing what they call studio. If the studios come to Macy's, they go see her.
Yeah.
And I said, so what do you want to do? She said, oh, okay. So I said, well, I'm working on an event, ABFF. I said, why don't you come and volunteer with me and meet some people?
Yeah.
She came, she brought a makeup kit, and my whole staff was sitting in her chair. And I was like, wait a minute.
That's right.
But she came to another thing. I said, well, come with me to this. And she met a lady who happened to work at CBS. So I said, they met each other. And I told her, I said, have you been to the studio? I told the lady, ask her to take her to lunch and let her show you around CBS. One day I saw her at Macy's and I said, hey, you need to, I know you haven't been here that long, but you need to go to Neiman Marcus. And she said, why? I said, because I style. And as a stylist, I know. I said, that's where all the Beyonce stylists, everybody, every top celebrity, A-list celebrities, that's where their stylists go to. You need to be working over there. She said, oh, I said, well, take your time. Don't burn bridges. I think she just went to she said, I'll just, and she got a call like the next day, come over. She goes over there. The guy that was doing Anthony Anderson started asking her to help him. Don Cheadle's people came, oh, can you help me? Can you help me? So now she's like a little prize in this room of these studio shoppers. The lady from CBS came in there to see one of the guys because that was their person. And she's like, oh. Then the lady kept coming back seeing her. And then the final lady said, I can give you, I think we have an opening for an assistant. Because she kept saying,
wow.
Each lady wants to work on her TV show. This one wants to work. I said, no. You need to get in the union. That's your priority. Get in the union. All of these people with these films and all this stuff, you got a lot of overhead. You need to stay cool until you make the big move. She got over to CBS. Within a year and a half, 2 years, she got an Emmy. Third year, she got an Emmy. Fourth year, she got an Emmy. I just talked to her, I call her my pride and joy. She goes, Miss Man. I said, now it's time for you to go. Now. And so now she just told me she's going to, there's a new Black daytime soap opera coming out called Gathers. I can't think of it. Yeah, so she's making that move. And I said, now it's time for you to make that move. You can't do more at this, she's working on Bold and Beautiful. You got 3 Emmys. Yeah. Now you make your move because now your price, now you can name your price, go where you want to go, and they will grab you. And so she moved to Atlanta because this new Black soap opera will be handling there. And it's a collaboration with the NAACP and CBS. I mean, this is like real all Black soap operas.
Yes.
I'm so proud of her. And I'm just glad I was able to tell her the moves to make.
Yeah.
And she made them and it worked. Because, sometimes people tell you to do stuff.
And it
not working. But I knew she was intelligent. She got a master's. All I had to do was put her in the room.
Yeah.
And that's basically my gift. I found out my gift because I'm always hooking people up. It's like, you need to go over there. You need to go over there. Just, it's sort of my blessing to give. Here, I know this. Because you're like, wow, you're so nice. You're always helping people. Because there are people out here now that don't want to help you do anything. Mm-hmm. They're greedy. They're selfish. They're paranoid. And I didn't come up in a business with that kind of mentality. So I just kind of find it like, oh, okay, this is a new Hollywood. Okay, but I'm not playing that game.
Yes.
But thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much for meeting with me. And will we have an opportunity to see you in Orlando at the film festival?
Yeah, I will be there.
Well, you will see me there as well.
Yeah, I think we're trying to connect you with Tom. So I'm going to put another call in and call Tim.
Yes,
Tom is trying to make it there, but his wife is ill. And so he's having a hard time trying to make this happen.
Yes, one way or another, it will happen. And I will connect with you also in person. So Thank you again, Denise, for your time. And I will see you in Orlando.
Thank you.
Okay,
God
bye-bye.
bless you. Have a great day.
God bless you too.